Have you ever heard the story of Jack and the Beanstalk, the poor boy who trades his family's cow for magic beans, plants them, and overnight, a gigantic vine shoots into the sky, carrying him to a castle among the clouds, where he finds a giant, gold, and a harp that plays by itself? It sounds like just a children's fairy tale, but what if I told you this story isn't just made up, that it carries within it an ancestral memory, a spiritual code, a distorted remembrance of something that truly happened, or, better yet, of something that still happens? And what if this story is connected to John, the Apostle, to the fallen angels, to Eden, to the Tower of Babel, and even to our own spiritual ascension? Sounds like madness, maybe. But what if it's not? Because myths aren't invented stories, they're forgotten truths. They're symbolic accounts of events that didn't happen in linear time, but in the dimension of the archetype. And Jack, the Beanstalk, the fallen angels, they all revolve around the same theme: the connection between heaven and earth, the ladder, the portal, the vertical path that unites the divine and the human. In the book of Genesis, Jacob dreams of a ladder reaching to the sky, with angels ascending and descending. God says, "This land shall be for your descendants." But what is this ladder? A physical structure, or a symbol of a state of consciousness? The ancients didn't see the sky as a distant place. They saw it as a subtle dimension, accessible through certain points on earth, in certain states of soul. And the beanstalk in the tale might actually be a metaphor for this vertical ladder, a plant that grows at supernatural speed, uniting soil and sky, as if nature itself had opened a portal. But why is a poor boy the hero? Why not a warrior, a king, or a sage? Perhaps because purity of heart is the true key. Jack has no power, no knowledge, no technique, only courage and naive faith. And that's what allows the miracle to happen. He plants the beans without understanding, without doubting, without demanding proof, and the earth responds. Just as Adam, in Eden, lived in direct communion with the divine, Jack represents that state of innocence where man still speaks with heaven. But the giant at the top, he guards the gold, the enchanted harp, the goose that lays golden eggs. He is the guardian, the demon of the temple, as the ancients said, not an evil being, but a force that protects sacred knowledge from those who aren't ready. And Jack, by climbing, is invading forbidden territory. He's repeating Adam's act of eating from the tree of knowledge. He's imitating the Tower of Babel where men tried to climb to God, and he's also reenacting the myth of the fallen angels. Because here's the connection, you see. The fallen angels, in Jewish and apocryphal tradition, didn't fall because of pride. They descended. Books like the Book of Enoch tell us that a group of angels, called the Watchers, came down to earth to teach humanity metallurgy, astronomy, the secrets of plants, the art of war. One of them, Azazel, taught how to forge weapons, others the arts of healing and magic. They didn't disobey out of malice, they disobeyed out of compassion. They wanted to elevate humanity, but the price was high. They were cast out, imprisoned in mountains, and their children, the Nephilim, were destroyed by the flood. Now, think, what does Jack find at the top of the beanstalk? Gold, a harp that plays by itself, divine music, a goose that lays golden eggs, infinite abundance. These aren't symbols of material wealth, they're symbols of forbidden knowledge, of sacred technology, of powers the ancients called gifts of the gods. And who guards it? A giant, exactly as the fallen angels were described as giants in ancient texts. So perhaps Jack isn't just climbing a magic plant, he's entering the territory of the fallen angels. He's accessing what was hidden after the flood, after the fall, after the loss of direct connection with the divine. The beanstalk isn't an invention, it's a myth, preserving the memory of a time when men could climb to heaven, when earth and sky still spoke. And the act of cutting the beanstalk at the end, it's not just escape, it's protection, because if the connection remained open, chaos would return. Just as in Eden, the entrance was sealed by cherubim with flaming swords, just as in Babel, communication was confused. Man cannot climb to heaven unprepared, and when he climbs without readiness, he brings destruction with him. Now, ask yourself, what if Jack isn't just a character in a story, but an archetype? The boy who represents the human soul in its journey of ascension. And what if the beanstalk is the energetic spine, what Hindus call where Kundalini rises in a spiral, like a plant, until it touches the crown of the head? And what if the giant is the ego, the rational mind, guarding the treasures of the unconscious, but only releasing them to those who pass the test of silence, courage, and surrender? Because Jack doesn't kill the giant, he escapes. He doesn't win by strength, but by cunning, faith, intuition, and each time he descends with a new treasure, gold, harp, goose. He's bringing back a fragment of lost knowledge. Just as the shaman who descends to the underworld and returns with healing, Jack is a hero of the invisible world. But here comes John, the apostle, the beloved disciple of Jesus, the author of the gospel that begins, "In the beginning was the Word," the same John who, on the island of Patmos, has a vision of heaven opening, of a new Jerusalem descending from the clouds, of a regenerated world. Is it coincidence that his name is John, the same name as the boy in the tale? In Greek Ionis, in Hebrew, Yakin, and God is gracious. Maybe not the same man, but the same archetype. The seeker who ascends to heaven, who sees what others cannot, who brings back words that transform realities. The Jack of the Beanstalk climbs a plant. The John of Revelation ascends through a vision. But both access the same place, the kingdom of heaven within the soul. Visualize yourself in an ancient forest. At twilight, in the center, a gigantic plant rises into the clouds, as if it grew in a single night. You know you shouldn't climb, you know there's danger, but you also feel a call, a music from above, a golden light. You begin to climb. Each step is an inner stage. Fear, courage, doubt, faith. When you reach the top, you don't see a giant, you see a version of yourself, larger, darker, guarding a closed chest. He doesn't attack, he asks, "Are you ready?" And you, without knowing, answer, "Yes." Then, he hands you the chest. Inside, there's no gold, there's a mirror, and in the reflection, you don't see your face, you see the face of a child, and you understand, the treasure isn't power, it's memory, it's who you were before you forgot. This makes us reflect all these myths, Jack and the Beanstalk, the fallen angels, Jacob's ladder, the apocalypse, are speaking of the same thing, the ascension of consciousness. The moment the soul decides to return home, but home isn't a place, it's a state, and the path isn't physical, it's symbolic. The beanstalk is any experience that connects the human to the divine. A deep meditation, a revealing dream, a moment of mystical ecstasy, and the giant is inner resistance, fear, disbelief, the weight of the material world, and the treasures are the virtues we recover, courage, faith, love, wisdom. But are we ready to climb? Because the story doesn't end with Jack rich and happy, it ends with him cutting the beanstalk, because the connection can't be permanent. Not yet. Modern man tries to force ascension through technology, drugs, rituals, but forgets that the true path requires humility. Jack can only climb because he doesn't understand, because he believes. And when he cuts the plant, he shows he learned the lesson. Heaven isn't to be stolen, it's to be earned. Now ask yourself, what if the fallen angels weren't punished for teaching humanity, but for underestimating humanity's capacity for self-destruction? Because what Jack takes, gold, harp, goose, are symbols of power, and all power in the wrong hands becomes destruction. Just as fire, given by Prometheus, was used for war, the knowledge of the fallen angels was used for domination, not elevation. And perhaps that's why the beanstalk must be cut, so that man may mature, so that he learns to climb, not to steal, but to serve. Visualize yourself again at the top of the ladder. The giant stands before you, but now, instead of fleeing, you kneel and say, "I don't want the gold, I want to understand." And the giant smiles, and gives you not a treasure, but a seed, and you descend, and plant it, and wait, without haste, without greed. And when the plant grows, you don't climb, you care for it, because you've understood. True power isn't in ascending to heaven, it's in making the earth a place where heaven can descend. Like a flame that never dies, even in the darkness of the unconscious, this memory remains. In fairy tales, in dreams, in meditations, and every time we hear the story of Jack and the Beanstalk, something within us remembers. There was a time when heaven touched earth, and perhaps, one day, it will touch again. The seeker's journey is like an ancient scroll, slowly unrolling, revealing symbols that feel familiar, like memories from other lives. Each revelation is a candle lit in the temple of the mind, illuminating corners we never knew existed. And at the end of this path, we don't find answers, we find myths. Myths that look back at us, whispering, "You already know this." Thank you for your curiosity and courage to walk these untrodden paths, for listening not just with your ears, but with your soul, for allowing yourself to be touched by ancient truths, forgotten memories, stories that seem childish, yet carry the wisdom of the ages. Are you ready to take the next step? Remember, every ending is just the beginning of a new journey of awareness.